Hello, hello, welcome and welcome back to those who have been with us before. We're Two Crows on the Line, and this is the Two Crows Oracle Parts Play series. Here we come forward as a channel of love, and one of facilitating a journey of self-discovery and actualization. And we do that through shadow exploration and parts play as well as conscious integration. So today on this episode, we're diving into the part that we are calling the observer. And if you haven't already watched episode 1 and 2, I highly recommend it. The Soul Self was number 1, and the Cycle Breaker was number 2. And these two parts work hand in hand with this third part that we're now seeing is this trinity, this triad of supporting a birthing or rebirthing of your soul essence, your creative spark that you're here to be. So, highly recommended to go check those out as you want to dive deeper into this. So, real quick, my mom and I here, we act as intermediaries, spiritual guides, teachers, conduits, and we bring forth messages through channeled language, the universal language of creation, channeled art, intuitive art, stone, nature castings, as well as anything else that kind of comes in, including the environment that we bring forth. So, just a little bit about us and how we show up. And we're just excited that you're here. So, if you're still here with us, thank you with gratitude. We're looking forward to diving into this part we call the observer.
All right, thanks, Bren. So we already threw the cast on the stones, and just before we started the cast, I had 2 word stones come up, and my word stones kind of disappeared for a while. They do that. So do other stones, and then reappear when they want to come in and give message again. We had 2 come up. One was broaden your views, and the other one, open to receive. So let's keep those in mind as we move through this discussion. All right. We have an energy flow that's coming from the right or the east, and then pointing down into a blue dyed agate. The 2 stones that are pointing in is an amethyst and then a well, apparently I want to talk about the amethyst first because the other name just went right out of my head. Quartz. How silly. Anyway, so the amethyst. When we see amethyst, we always tend to think of higher vibration, spiritual connection. A lot of times people are using it when they are working with the goddess and feminine energy and feminine spirituality. But I want to point out that amethyst, it is healing the spirit. It is encouraging that positive energy flow, rejuvenating. But I think really importantly right now, it's coming in as a harmonizer. Put here with the quartz, which is helping to amplify that and support it. It's when we think of quartz, we tend to think of it, we can program it. It's clear. It can be used in so many different ways, but it's also very unlocking. So when we're looking at parts play and we're looking at our shadow parts ourselves, and bringing those into light and holding space and honoring those, it's unlocking those deeper levels so that we can see and love them clearly and then make choices or decisions and then how we're wanting to interact with that. Also very important with quartz, it's also a cleansing of the soul connection. So when we have it paired here with the amethyst, which is about spirituality and that connection, we're also doing a cleansing of the soul connection, which our first parts play that we did was the soul cell. And in this physical plane, embodying that, so to make sure that we have that clear connection and understanding of what our soul self wants to manifest as. So, and then one last thing on that, it's a uniting of chakras. And I'll go in more in depth of these in the after read of this, but I wanted those two stones to really point out on what energy is actually coming in and directing and giving this portion of the stone casting for the observer. Underneath, we have a moonstone here. Moonstone is a brown moonstone. It's all about remembering and honoring that there is a cycle. There is a flow and an ebb. And we talked about the trinity portion of these cards. It is the maiden mother crone. So no matter where you're at, in which part of cycle, there is a resonant and message for you here in this observer. Coming into that blue dyed agate, it's a stabilizer because the feminine has so much emotion, right? So much depth and creativity. There is the agate coming in here to stabilize that, so we can really take that moment of pause. We can broaden the view and talk about kind of a 360 of not just, looking here or being very narrow, but a 360, and not only of self, but then of all the other parts coming up, all the other situations, being able to see all of that in a 360, and then having that pause moment for it, and then deciding where you're going to go next with that. Comes into two greenstones, we tend to think of our heart chakra. Malachite is an essence of joy, right? And it's inner peace and growth. And it's very much about transformation. And then we come up here into the aqua, and it's a restoring of vitality, detoxing the body, encourages that positive energy. So another flow of that, and then into that rose quartz, which is love, joy, and acceptance, and also unity into your higher heart. So there's a lot of energy at play in this observer and getting us to those pause points in honoring and really seeing clearly, and then being open to receive.
Yeah, what a beautiful casting and so much depth there, which is just so fitting for the observer and this part we find come here, very rooted in femininity, feminine energy, which here we talk to this as the genderless form as well as an embodied form in gender that you identify with. So from the genderless form, this energetic archetype and embodiment that is within everyone, that's unearthing and birthing and wanting to come to light, is the divine feminine. And it is the observer, the guide, the internal wisdom that you hold, your inner navigation system, that can tune in and use all the senses and broaden the viewpoints and expand beyond the limits of the mind and really take everything in. It's the ability to take in all the input of life and to go really deep and then be able to guide your personal journey after taking all that in and then sending that input over to your divine masculine cycle breaker protector that is all in alignment to your true north, which is your soul self, right? So again, these parts all come together, very important. So this part, with this reading was exactly that. And I found it interesting with the call out of the purple and the amethyst. And I heard like, it's the ability of the pause to come into play instead of being reactive and in a survival mechanism. It's when the cycle breaker and the divine masculine comes on, the protector, that this feminine essence can come into full embodiment that is slow, grounded, content, able to take it all in and then articulate what you need or what you like, don't like, what you desire, what you want to create, and then guide the inspired action, but not until you've taken the full view in and all the input and actually gone even deeper. You see the separation and you honor the deep calling. The observer is actually very neutral. It can watch in neutrality, observe, take in all the input, and then look at the choice point and come back into individuality in a place from deep passion for heart-centered harmony and unity, and an alignment again with the soul self of the individual, but not overstepping the other souls, right? So it does hyper tune. So instead of, it's like the observer can see red and blue and purple, the totality of duality. And if you guys see where I'm pointing to in the polarities and the politics, can see red and blue, simultaneously seeing and holding the call for purple. That's the divine feminine. And that's also pointing to that that mission almost that I feel for this observer and this guide, this inner wisdom guide, the intuition that we hold to point to the higher heart, the divine love for all of humanity. And that comes through bringing this wise one, this wise feminine online in you at any phase, right? Pointed to there, wherever
Mm-hmm.
you are, mother, maiden, crone, it's all there. Your wise self can come online and illuminate things for you and expand yourself into the infinite possibilities, and then take them all in and decide what you want to bring into form after all the input. So I definitely felt that there, and that call for this part really needing to feel grounded, to feel safe and secure, to express itself, to be in flow. That's where the divine masculine really plays a role inside and out. And so it is that growth opportunity when integrating this part, um, to head to make sure that you have that space to regulate your nervous system, to pause when it turns and starts to be in chaos or there's not clarity yet. The feminine knows the value, the observer knows the value in pausing in a storm and taking it all in and being patient to wait for full clarity and the full picture to then move forward. The observer knows that if it moves forward in action that's rooted in division, it will cause more division. You feel me? So it's like being able to pause, leave reaction, survival-based mechanisms to be able to discern, observe, take it all in, and choose your inspired action that's rooted in divine love and the good of all involved. And I really want to point to that doesn't mean, when I say that, it doesn't mean staying in situations that are unhealthy. It's actually the opposite. It's what is healthy for me and others, and sometimes it may bring up pain in someone to choose to honor our true north and ourself and our sovereignty or our well-being. But you know in your soul and big picture what's coming alive for them can serve them as well, right? Because you're coming from an intent of truly uh, unconditional love, and you're not in the martyr self-sacrificing way of giving. You have empathy with healthy boundaries. So not to confuse that with over giving. This is actually about receiving. The feminine wisdom and the observer is receiving, pausing to receive, and then bring on the action-oriented masculine once the input is received. So keep that in mind, that this is a time, if you want to work with this part and integrate, it may go against all narratives that you are living in or have been fed about, like performance, hustle, the value system that could be a societal and cultural norm of performance based. Um, you may really want to do that, but it actually is like, can I pause, rest, and receive this part of me? Can I give myself time to feel safe to bring this part alive and really take in and decide where I really want to go? Um, so really allowing yourself to rest and receive the observer and the integration of this part of you to come and feel safe, because that's what will make it feel safe, is if you slow down and regulate your nervous system and the masculine says, I've got you, it's okay to slow down, then the feminine can kind of come in and say, thank goodness, I can actually be, and maybe actually tell you what I'm really feeling, right? Maybe I need to pause and process some rage, or maybe I need to pause and tell you like what I really actually care about. And again, it's about unity, and harmony, and then action. Um, Anything you want to add?
Um, I pulled over in the artwork on this one, really never did pull anything else in, but you can see, it's this outward coming into that pause or 0 point even, um, and reflection, and then coming outward again. And you mentioned, it's the masculine supporting and giving the space that they feel safe to pause and actually see everything with clarity and insight. Um, the masculine of the last one of the cycle breaker was that inspired action, and the action and letting that masculine then support you in the way that's needed in that action state. So it's again broadening that view and then being open to receive, because it's right there, but oftentimes if we don't think we should receive it or can receive it, it goes unnoticed. So just being aware of that masculine wanting to be part of that inspired action, and then receiving that so that the feminine and the observer can be in this state before coming back out again and making those choices and decisions. So that's it for now until we go into the deep dive on the stones.
Okay, and I just want to add in, even though we might have lost, if she can hear me, the visual of Marcia here, I can still see the art kind of coming through. I know she had some storms and we flow with it. One thing I want to bring forth here was that masculine part of inspired action. The other part of that cycle breaker was to also honor the pause, to see it and claim the pause, then let the observer come in and observe and input. And so that's a way that your masculine can actually support this process too, where your mind might tell you that you need to keep hustling and doing and controlling, where then having your cycle breaker break that cycle and say, no, I'm actually going to honor the pause and honor the needs of my feminine and this observer to integrate. And even that expression alone can allow that to come in. So as Marcia mentioned, she's going to dive into the stones further with you and give you some choice points specifically when integrating this, some affirmations to work with, journal prompts, and then she might also go into the art or add some more art. So it's all channeled and spontaneous. It looks like she's trying to come back too, so that's great. So it's going to be channeled and spontaneous. So she's going to do an extended. So she'll do that. And then I will be offering some type of channeled shamanic and somatic experiencing to also integrate this observer aspect. And one other tool that you could work with in the meantime is I have a pause method. So there'll be links below to connect with me or stay connected in my link tree. It's in there as under the tools section to pause. And that is just another kind of meditative practice to guide through a process that really does root in unconditional love and expand and broaden your mindset to just consider all perspectives involved in whatever situation's going in and come to some conclusion. And then there's an inspired action at the end with the expand. So that's a great tool right now if you want to really lean into the pause, but you'd like some guidance to be with maybe something that's coming up in your reality that's causing discomfort, emotional distress, something that's just not flowing. That's an idea that you need your feminine to come on to like help you observe if something's just not quite in flow. Call your observer in, claim the pause, claim the space to integrate this, and bring forth your divine wisdom, your intuition, and do that in partner with your divine masculine, which is instinct. So it's not to fight against each other, it's to have these two again to come in instinct, intuition, same team, focusing on the soul self. So We hope you enjoy this integration process and you can cultivate a beautiful relationship with all of your parts, inside and out, right? And just have some fun with it, and give yourself the time to pause. Okay? And until next time, we look forward to seeing you here on Two Crows Oracle with the two crows on the line. And again, just deep gratitude for your spontaneous co-creative participation.